Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be taking a look at an article from Yahoo News. It's from written by Matt Bai. It's from November 29th, and he's the national political columnist for Yahoo News. Well, buddy, if you're working for Yahoo News, you're wishing you worked for WAPO or New York Times. Yeah, just a thought, but you know, hey, whatever. House Democrats agree it's time for the same generation. No, they're seeing their time is short. They're realizing that their shit stinks, and they know that the younger people coming in are going to oust their asses, and they have a choice. They can either go willingly, or they can be removed kicking and screaming. And it looks like they've decided to go willingly. They're going to try to stretch out their time there. Well, of course they are, but they're willing to play ball, because if they don't play ball, they know they're out faster. So this is Matt Bai's political world. Ooh. So let's get into the article here. I've never been very kind to Nancy Pelosi or her contemporaries in the Democratic Party. In this space last year, after Democrats lost two special elections for Congress, I suggested, not nearly for the first time, that Pelosi and her entire generation of party leaders ought to step aside, or at least give some thought to a succession plan. Yeah, well, they are now realizing that they don't have the pulse on the people who vote Democrat. And it's coming back to bite them in the ass. They're trying to be hip. They're trying to be cool. You know, it's like Nancy going out there, you know, thinking she's a rapping granny. I'm surprised she hasn't pulled that shit, you know, but that's the idea. They're hoping to appeal to young people. They really can't. So what they're hoping to do is milk this transition to appeal to young people to an extent and extend their lives. They're playing politics. That's what they're doing. If you think that things are actually going to change, it's not going to happen quickly. We'll just put it that way if it does. I said this not just because they were projecting a tired image, but because they seemed to be endlessly trafficking in played-out 20th century slogans. Asked if she was a political liability, Pelosi told reporters, "I think I'm worth the trouble," which struck me as the best summation of the 60s generation generally I'd ever heard. You know, this is funny. This smug little bastard thinks that age is an issue. Okay, it's not the fact that they're old. It's the fact that they're out of touch, and it has nothing to do with age. It has more to do with political class and financial class than it actually has to do with their age. Okay, because Pelosi is worth a shit ton of money. All right, Mad Maxine, worth a shit ton of money, doesn't even live in her district, lives in a mansion. She doesn't know what the people that she's supposed to be representing want. Pelosi's the same thing. They're out of touch. And what you're talking about is you're talking about the younger people. See, the problem with that theory is that they should step aside for the young generation type shit. Like, because I mean, I'm assuming you're talking millennials and stuff like that with this kind of thing going on here. Is what they represent is a small faction of the Democrat Party. If they step aside for people like that, like, you know, Ocasio, Crazy Eyes, Ortiz, if they step aside for people like that, it's just going to lead to the Democrat Party dying quicker. Because you're not going to see mainstream America fall in line with the Democrat Party if that were to happen. So when you're trying to oust Pelosi from power in favor of younger leaders, and the whole effort seems to be ill-timed and poorly thought out, that even I find myself sympathizing with her, then you're probably doomed to fail spectacularly. Yeah, well, see, the Democrat Party tried to use the whole identity politics, age, gender, sexual orientation, bullshit to win. And they did some winning, but they really didn't win that much. You know, there was no blue wave. And if they had that, then this would have happened, the ousting of Pelosi, but they didn't have that happen. See, and I don't think Pelosi expected the situation to lead to something like that. I think she expected them to just come in, fall in line, and she would get her position. She didn't think that they would actually look at trying to oust her. And she managed to rally and keep control, which you have to give the old broad credit for that. Psycho drunk bitch that she is. You just have to. Which is exactly what happened last week when a few of the party's young stars in the House took on Pelosi and proved mainly that none of them have anything like the political acumen to replace her. Yeah, but they weren't even looking to replace her themselves. They wanted, like, minorities and other women, younger women and shit like that. It wasn't necessarily them. It was about just getting rid of her. So to try to play it like they were looking to replace her with themselves. I mean, I could see Ocasio-Cortez getting it in her head that she could be, the House Majority Leader, but that's about it. The movement to unseat the 78-year-old Pelosi has been building since the days after the 2016 election when Ohio Tim's Ryan ran against her for minority leader and picked up 63 votes. Yeah. It's because, not necessarily age, even though you're trying to make it about that, it could be the fact that she's a crooked bitch. And some people just don't like her. During this fall's midterm campaigns, according to a tally by the Washington Post, about a third of non-incumbent Democrats running for Congress said they wouldn't get behind another Pelosi speakership. Yeah, but you see, part of that is the fact that is a situation where they're hoping to cater to young votes. See, that's what they're thinking. Young votes, and they're also thinking the fact that the bitch is crooked as all fucking hell. She can't keep straight names. She thinks Trump is Bush and all this other shit. So, they're kind of hesitant. After the election, Ryan and fellow centrist Seth Moulton of Massachusetts, both of whom had been eyeing long-shot presidential runs, led a cadre of Democrats in trying to derail Pelosi's return to the speakership. Yeah, and they didn't exactly do too well. And I wouldn't exactly call Seth Moulton, I wouldn't call any politician from Massachusetts a centrist, unless the center is somehow now far to the left. Just saying, because he's definitely not a centrist. But, this guy's going to probably a left, far left type himself and considers himself a centrist. So, hey. This masterfully conceived plot seems to have run into a few complications. First off, the conspirators forgot to think of any substantive argument against Pelosi aside from her age. Well, yeah, because they did try to play the age card. They just didn't think things through. See, they thought that would be enough because they thought they had the young generation on their side, the generation that doesn't tend to vote. Generational change is great when there's a real disagreement among generations. Getting rid of old people just because they're old is generally regarded as cruel. It's more than just cruel. It's also considered discrimination. I mean, that would fall into their intersectionality bullshit. Pelosi's an old woman, so that's age discrimination. That's discrimination against her because she's an oppressed class of being a woman, all this other shit. So they really don't want to push that. They also forgot that they needed someone to run against her, especially when their outside-the-box first choice, Ohio's Marcia Fudge, decided she'd back Pelosi instead. Well, yeah, she probably had an offer she couldn't refuse made to her by Pelosi. She probably got a little something in return. Also, they overlooked the small fact that, unlike in 2016, they actually won the elections this time, in large part because Pelosi raised a boatload of money in support of candidates who weren't as liberal as she is, and in some cases opposed her outright. And that's kind of, it's kind of a little bit revisionist, but all right. I mean, I find that kind of funny. Dude, you seriously are like a lefty. Oh, I can tell you really wish that you're working at the Washington Post or the New York Times. Hell, you'd settle for the Boston Globe right now, I bet. And they seem not to have considered that Democrats elected a record 89 women to the House this month, in the first midterm cycle since Me Too became a thing. So, maybe not the best moment, optically speaking, for a couple of guys to take down the first female speaker in history. Oh yeah, play those fucking identity politics. Yeah, it was the identity politics that got them elected. Sure. It was the fact that, with those women. Sure it was. They were elected because they were women. If that's the case, then Democrat voters are dumb fucking idiots. They are dumber than dirt. They are like brother and sister, multiple generation inbred. Okay, like brother and sister spout out a couple kids. They then in turn spout out a couple kids. They in turn spout out a couple kids. All right. Stupid breeding stupid. If you voted because she had a vagina, you are a moron. You really are. Other than that, it was a can't miss plan. When it turned out there wasn't going to be any mass rebellion, and that Pelosi was pretty good at wrangling votes when she needed them, Moulton, who by now had emerged as the public ringleader of this thing, Ryan, having quietly tiptoed away while no one was looking, offered to end the uprising in exchange for her shaking up her leadership team. Let me translate that. They tried to take on the bitch, and the bitch knocked them back. She knocked them on their asses. All right? They came in swinging, and the drunk bitch took one swing at the soy boys each and put them on their asses. She knocked them the fuck out. And they went, oh shit, that bitch, we can't take her down. So they decided to play nice with her. That's what ended up happening. Let's be honest about it. They tried to take her on and failed. But let's not, admit that, because you're a sleazy, dishonest, shady little shit here. Imagine the last starving holdouts at the Alamo issuing their final demand to the Mexicans who had the place surrounded. That's sort of what we're looking at here. Yeah, you see, what's funny is he's trying to play it down, but then he uses that as an analogy. It makes absolutely no sense to do that, because it kind of counters what you're trying to say. Or I think you're just trying to not lighten it, but make it look a little bit better. In the end, 32 Democrats voted against Pelosi in the caucus vote for Speaker yesterday. That stings, but she'll almost certainly win back the votes she needs to become Speaker, about half of those, when the full House votes in January. What all of this tells you, though, is that Pelosi's job as the party titular leader is about to get a lot harder. Yeah, because you've got Democrats that are actually not following the party line bullshit because they're, like Democrat socialists and shit like that. Yeah. You're going to see some issues there because you don't have this party unity of hook and crook. I mean, I'm sure they want to do their own hook and crook, but they want to, do things their way and do the things that they want. Whenever a party shrinks to a small minority of members, they tend to come from safe districts that are more ideologically pure, which makes them easier to unify. The more your caucus expands, however, the more diverse it becomes politically, and the more factions begin to emerge. Yeah, but see, the thing is this is more about the fact of you had all these people playing ball that are doing graft and shit like that. Now you have fresh blood coming in, and some of them are not going to play ball with that. I mean, I could picture Ocasio-Cortez, even though she's a socialist, claiming to be a socialist and all this other shit. And I'm sure she would, oh yeah, she would allow her pockets to be filled by other people. Trust me on that. She looks like she would do it. That's just my gut feeling on her, but I think she would. In the case of the Democratic caucus, you have at least 3 rough factions coalescing right now. One group comprises Democrats from contested districts bent on projecting moderation. Yeah, because that's what most of America wants. They're not into that far left bullshit. They just kind of want things middle of the road. And they want, they just want to live their lives. According to an analysis by Third Way, the lonely centrist Democrat think tank, Candidates endorsed by the new Democratic caucus in the House flipped 32 seats from red to blue this cycle. Yeah, and there's been some shady shit going on with the voting and everything else. And yeah, so I wouldn't exactly be bragging about that because you never know how much rigging was involved for the blue piddle. An impressive showing that may act as a counterforce to runaway populism. No, it's not going to happen. See, populism, popular, that means the people, the majority, the masses, they want it. That's populism. See, Democrats don't want a populist movement because they can't fabricate one themselves. And they don't want to. And they don't have someone coming in and fucking shit up to where they can run a populist movement. So it comes down to the fact of you have a situation where that left the Republicans. And that fucks them because if a populist movement continues to happen, it's going to be on the side of the Republicans. It's going to be on the side of the right. And that means that they are going to lose. See, they only have these blue strongholds, which you look at the 2016 election, okay? There's no way things swung so far the other way in 2 years. That has to make you think that something's up, that something is shady, that something's not right. But yet, people don't do that. They just go, oh yeah, things went the other way. No. See, the Democrats went, oh fuck me. And I think that they increased their shady, shifty shit. I really do. That's just my personal opinion, though. Then you have the more firebranded leftists from safe districts, like the party's latest celebrity, New York's Alexandria Ocasio-Crazy Eyes Cortez, who want the party to pursue a more aggressive Bernie Sanders-like assault on capitalism. Yeah, because let's take out the thing that allows you to be able to be an entitled little bitch. Yeah, let's get rid of that one thing there, Crazy Eyes. That'll end up going really fucking well, I'm sure. These candidates didn't take any Republican seats, but their real power resides in explicit threat of primaries against members they don't deem sufficiently pure. In this way, they're the left analog of the Freedom Caucus. Oh, no, they're not. They're not even remote. Oh, my God. Do not try to fucking compare freedom and liberty-loving individuals with fucking state-loving socialists. That is like an inappropriate analogy because it's not even remotely a comparison. You're talking apples to oranges. You seriously are. And finally, there's the so-called Problem Solver Caucus, a small group of Democrats who are pressuring Pelosi for rules changes that would make it easier to introduce compromise legislation with Republicans. I'm not sure where they're supposed to compromise, since on every issue where that matters, deficit reduction, immigration, taxes, feckless Republicans are way more scared of President Trump than they are of national ruin. Oh, fuck you. National ruin. Yeah, because your idea of immigration is open fucking borders because you're a left-leaning shitbag, probably a far leftist fucking shitbag, okay? And that ruins a fucking country because it destroys the economy. Because you have all these people come in, you only have finite resources, you have finite jobs, you have finite this, finite that, and it strains the fucking economy, it strains the nation. Okay, deficit reduction. Yeah, what did the Democrats do? They spent and spent and spent for 8 years of fucking Obama. Shut the fuck up, you piece of shit. Jesus Christ, dude. You really are a sleazy fuck. You're supposed to be a political expert, but you leave out these little convenient facts that fuck you over, don't you? And feckless Republicans are not more scared of President Trump. They're not feckless, number one. And they're not scared of Trump. They're scared of their constituents because a lot of them know that if they piss off their constituents, they're fucked. That's what it comes down to. But you see, you don't want to admit that. What all of these factions disagree about, really, is why there's suddenly a majority. Probably election rigging and voter fraud and shit like that. Were the elections a verdict for moderation and nonpartisanship? Were they a call to action for more radical policy? What message were the voters trying to send? I think the voters tended to vote more Republican, and you see like all these like quote unquote close areas. There's all this shady shit going on, and like with North Carolina and Florida and Arizona, there was shady shit going on. Yeah, those were the close races, the supposedly close races, and every one of them, it seems to have had something, you know, not exactly above board happen. Just saying. I mean, it's so funny. The answer, of course, is probably the same as in every recent wave election. At a time when most voters are perennially disgusted, they're here now because they represented an alternative to the status quo. Ocasio, crazy-eyed Cortez, it was more because she managed to slip in under the radar and get the nomination, because people were like, yeah, we're not going to vote for the 10-year incumbent. He's got the thing anyway. It's New York. That's what happened. Let's be honest about her. They weren't in charge of this mess. That's all the message there is. Yeah. It sounds nice to say, as Ocasio-Cortez did last week, that the voters sent them here to get things done. But everyone knows you don't get things done controlling a single chamber of Congress with an unhinged president of the other party living up the street. Oh, really? Trump is not the unhinged one. I mean, you look at Ocasio, Crazy Eyes, Cortez, that bitch cray-cray. Okay, she is crazy. All right? That's the type of bitch that you don't ever want to piss off if you're involved with her, because that's the type of bitch that you wake up with this like feeling that you should probably wake up, and there she is standing over your bed with a butcher knife. That's the type of bitch she is. Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's get right on who's crazy here. No, they're here to keep the crazy at bay. So you fight crazy with crazy. Is that what you're saying? Even though Trump isn't crazy, you believe he is, so you elect a crazy bitch like Ocasio-Cortez, Crazy Eyes, to take him on? Okay, sure. All right. They're a brushback pitch aimed squarely at the chin of Donald Trump. Oh, you think they're chin music? Dude, they're not chin music. As for the Democrats' governing vision, that only gets worked out one way now. In the dust storm of presidential politics, that's about to engulf the party. That's how it always works, when it works at all. An out-of-power party finds its voice in the primaries, which this time will be more chaotic and contentious than you can imagine. Oh, wow. This guy has no fucking clue. He's a Kool-Aid drinker. Oh, it's probably why he's working at Yahoo News and not Weibo or The Times. Dude, you suck. Oh, God. Until then, a speaker's main job is to preserve order, beat back extremism, and stay off the radar. Keep the focus on Trump, where it belongs, and where most benefits the opposition. All you idiots have been doing is keeping the focus on Trump. It has not benefited you in 2 fucking years. Get a clue. Sorry for the years on that last little bit. I mean, these people are fucking stupid. They really are. This guy isn't. He's numb. He really is. He's fucking numb. Pelosi gets this. It is what she did in the midterms. It is what she does best. She's the wrong leader for a party that needs to modernize and broaden its appeal in the long term, but she's exactly the right speaker for now. Oh, God. He just basically tried to make the fucking Batman Dark Knight analogy. Oh, my God. He did. It's like, I can picture Commissioner Gordon with his kid at the end of the Dark Knight, you know, and drunk Pelosi staggering off. But she did nothing wrong. Well, she's not the right speaker for right now. But she's not the right speaker for the long term, son. But she's exactly the speaker for right now, or some shit like that. I could just picture that. I mean, it just seems that way. Anyway, I've covered this well enough. I'm just going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video, when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.